Ave everyone, it's 08:13 on Thursday, December 17th, and I am broadcasting to you pre-recorded live, not from Temecula, California, as you may guess from the white stuff outside, but from Wamsutter, Wyoming. I had this whole idea of a sort of bit I was gonna do, a montage rather, of shots from when I left Rapid City and then like each big town that I passed through and stuff. But then I woke up at 5 a.m. yesterday to get all ready for my chemistry final. Got ready, just finished about an hour before it was time to start, and then an email was sent out saying that due to the weather, campus was going to be closed till 10 a.m. and therefore any finals at 8 a.m., such as my chemistry final, would be moved to tomorrow, so I was gonna have to stay an extra day. Due to the winter storm weather, I was considering possibly doing that anyway to avoid the worst of it, but then the chemistry professor emailed and said anyone who has to take the final today so they can leave because of their travel plans, they were going to have limited spaces available at 10 a.m. and noon. So I managed to slip into the noon session and get the final taken. It was fairly easy, so unless I made a bunch of arithmetic mistakes, I should get an A on it and an A in the class. But anyway, I took the final at noon, then had a snack, and then loaded up and left just as dark was entering at around like 4:30-ish. And since I was in a hurry and there was snow on the ground and the truck was like slipping around through town, I didn't want to film and I didn't think of it, honestly. I was too busy trying not to go too fast and smash into things. But once I got out of Rapid City, the roads were nice and plowed up until just outside of Casper. Then there was ice on the road and I spun out epically. But the living in Southern California did not prepare me to read the road for ice. Dirt roads have prepared me for what to do when one starts losing control. So I managed to adjust the momentum, and though I slid very far, I did not flip over or anything. But I did end up in the median where there was like 1.5 feet of snow, so a tow truck had to come and drag me out. But as soon as they dragged me out, I could just drive off on my own and was fine. And I drove till about 3 in the morning and pulled over on a parking area like for trucks on the side of the road, took an hour nap, then drove a little more until about 5:30 when I arrived here in Wamsutter and napped at the Loves. And now it is 08:18 and I'm going to resume the drive. The ice was pretty bad from about 5 to 10 miles out of Casper through maybe 20-30 miles coming out of it. I don't know, I was going about 25 and it seemed like it was on the ice for about an hour, maybe 2, so maybe as much as 50 miles. But it seems to be clearing up, at least on the freeways, the farther west I get. I'm not sure though if Utah is going to be higher or lower in elevation or better or worse plowed than these western Wyoming roads. But let's go find out, shall we? That truck you can see in the background there is carrying a nuclear reactor. So this is Rock Springs, Wyoming. Just exited the freeway in an attempt to get to the $1.97 per gallon gas at the Flying J over that way. That's Conoco, but the Flying J is beyond it. And like every other truck on the freeway is also doing it, and now there's a train at the railroad crossing up ahead, so yeah. This is an interesting intersection. I later found out that the reason that truck stop was so crowded is because they had closed the freeway between Green River and Cheyenne, Wyoming. So I guess it was lucky, quote unquote, if you believe in luck, that I got on the road that night, else I would have been stuck in that city for who knows how long. It's now 11:27 and I'm stopped at Ranch Exit. So I don't think this is actually like a road. I think it's just a way off the freeway to some guy's ranch. But anyway, although I checked all of my fluids and made sure to fill up the empty wiper one before I left Rapid City, the sprayers are not spraying, and so I have to stop periodically because my windshield gets looking like this. And driving, trying to look through that, is probably not the safest thing to do. So yeah, that's fun. But at least we made it to Utah. 2 more states to go. Literally 3 miles later. It's now 16:24 and I'm still quite a ways away. Beaver, Utah to be specific. But I'm really tired since I only got like 3 hours of sleep, and that not consecutive last night. By choice, I wanted to just break it up into like 1.5 hour power naps to get the maximum amount of driving and hopefully get home in a good amount of time. But it means I have to stop for another nap here. So we'll get going in another hour or so. And we resume our trek south at 17:22, just as the last dregs of daylight set the western sky aflame. I don't know what the time is, sometime after 1800, but not super late after. And I am in Arizona, but I missed the sign because I was talking with my mom on the phone. Don't worry, I was using a hands-free device. But because of the way that the 15 is shaped, I'm gonna dip back up into Nevada and then into California. Yay, the windshield wiper sprayers work again. I guess they were just frozen or something in that line. But anyway, now you can behold the Vegas skyline in all of its illustrious neon, although it's mostly LED nowadays, lighting glory. Side note, what a quick, sudden, and rude reawakening to the realities of driving in the big city was mine when we got to these short exits and people driving way over the speed limit. I don't mind it, having been raised in LA, but I've kind of grown used to not having that, driving over these last like 24 plus hours when people are driving, yes, over the speed limit, but the road conditions are much more pressing of an issue than the way that people are driving. Forgot, the San Bernardino County line, which is also the state line for California, is literally right after the city of Prim, partially hidden by a bush. So I missed that sign too. But California ahoy, we are in you. But actually, that clock is totally wrong and has been for years. It's actually 1:28 in the morning. Correction, forgot my watch is still on Mountain Time and I am now in the Pacific time zone. So that means about 20 minutes past midnight rather than 1. Friday, December 18th, the release date of the new Star Wars movie, which perhaps we will go and see later. After I update you on my week, including of course the trip in more detail, before I do anything else, I am going to make up for the fact that I've only gotten 4 hours of sleep in the last 48, and none of those 4 consecutive. Well, it's not true. There was 1 2-hour nap that I took. But anyway, I'm going to go sleep now, so cut to tomorrow. Wherein I was going to say that, in spite of everything, the drive wasn't all that eventful. But on second thought, considering the spin out and then roughly 5 hours of driving at about 25 miles per hour on the freeway, and then the plague of dust through northern Utah with no working windshield wiper fluids, and just the general craziness of traffic in Las Vegas and Southern California, I guess it was a little bit of an ordeal. But that's really to be expected on a 32-hour drive, although that 32 hours includes the roughly 4 hours I stopped for sleeping, and then also a bunch of little stops for gas and things. But yeah, besides the drive, the rest of the week previous was pretty uneventful. That is, if you count the thing on Sunday that I talked about last vlog as part of the previous week. On Monday and Tuesday, I basically just studied and watched some YouTube in my breaks. On Wednesday, I took my test and left. Note also that this isn't actually tomorrow that I said I would cut to, but rather Saturday, the day after tomorrow, because yesterday I attempted to sleep in, wasn't successful, and was kind of groggy all day, and then we just had a movie marathon, and then in the evening went and saw Star Wars. Don't worry, I'm not going to talk about it and have spoilers here, but I thought it was pretty good. I have to rewatch episodes 1 and 3 because I haven't seen them in a while, but I think this one falls somewhere between the prequels and the originals. It was good, and it was probably even approaching the quality of episode 6, which was the least favorite of the original trilogy in my opinion, but it doesn't quite make it. So go in with reasonable expectations and I'm sure you will enjoy the movie. And it is, depending on where the next 2 sequels go, a worthy addition to the Star Wars canon. It really makes me angry that they destroyed all the expanded universe canon. I can understand why they did it. It was getting to be quite the jumbled mess, and it would have been impossible to give J.J. Abrams a crash course in the entirety of the history and the time that they had to make the movie. But that said, I was very attached to certain aspects of it. I wish they had gone through the trouble of keeping it around. Then after that, I went over to Davey's house and hung out with him for a couple of hours. Then went home, went to sleep, got up, and now I'm driving into town to the Midas here in Temecula, the best car repair shop ever, at least out of the ones that I have frequented, to have my truck checked out. I'm about 400 miles away from an oil change, so I'll get that done, and also have them check out all the other little things that are wrong, that don't affect the main purpose of the car's functionality, but do affect the overall function quotient of this car. I don't know if function quotient is a good phrase, but as I'm getting into heavier trafficked areas, I'm going to need to start wrapping this vlog up. So I'm not going to go back and rephrase that whole sentence to figure out a way to make it make sense, because I'm certain you know what I mean. I should probably get going and concentrate on my driving so I don't have anything major for them to look at the car repair. The